Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Intoxicated Intellect. My name is Brady, and with me today I have Ben, Jack, and Justin. Thank you guys for being here once again. I'm going to send it off to Ben to just tell y'all what we're going to be doing today.
Alrighty, guys. So today we are finishing up our our overall class tier list. So we have left in us today Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. Those are the four we're going to be covering. At the end of this, we should have everything nice and complete. But before we dive into it, everyone watching, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out. Lets us know what kind of content you want us to make. We like making things, so we want to make things that you guys want to watch. So let us know. Comment. Tell us if we're wrong. Tell us if you think a class deserves a higher or lower ranking. And, I like argument. It's fun. I like dissenting opinion. But why don't we go ahead and kick it right off with our last martial class of the session, the Rogue.
Alrighty.
Alright, so what we're looking at is multi-class ability, out of
Yep.
combat, in combat capabilities, and then versatility.
Yep.
Versatilities, and we are ignoring all subclasses for this.
Yes, no.
As a reminder to everybody.
No subclass interaction. Alright, so to start off with the Rogue, your hit die is a D8. It's pretty good. It's not
terrible.
Not horrible.
Yeah.
It's
Solid.
not great. Proficiencies.
But you get that evasion, though.
Yes.
Half damage.
Proficiencies, you start off with light armor, simple weapons, hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. You're proficient in thieves' tools, dex and intelligence saving throws, and you can choose 4 from this massive list of skills from acrobatics, athletics, deception, insight, intimidation, investigation, perception, performance, persuasion, sleight of hand, and stealth. That is a lot of options to be able to choose 4 from.
Plus, you get expertise on top of that right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then you get more expertise later on. So the big thing that comes up with rogues is going to be the utility. They are your skill check machine.
Yeah.
They can be proficient in just almost everything, especially if you build the right kind of background, the right kind of character, the right kind of race and all that. They can be proficient in a whole lot. Plus, with sneak attack, it can be a major damage dealer if you can proc that outright.
It is also great for multi-classing. Even just a 3-level dip into it can help out a lot. Even a 1 to 2 level dip, depending on what you're trying to get out of it.
I was going to say, I actually think the multi-class capability, this has to be your main class if you're multi-classing. Yeah. Otherwise, its main thing of sneak attack is underwhelming immediately. Sneak attack levels every other level.
Yeah.
So, in order to maintain that throughout the game as you get to higher levels, Rogue has to be your mainstay. It cannot be a dip.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't get any extra attacks if you start as a rogue, do you?
You can if you build into an extra attack. Rogue itself does not get an extra attack unless you do 2-weapon fighting style.
I thought you don't get your extra attacks unless your main class is the one that gets extra attacks.
As long as you get to a level in a class that offers extra attacks, you can get extra attacks.
Yeah.
At least that, as far as I know.
Well, because let's say I do let's say like a barbarian and a fighter. I don't get the barbarian extra attack and the fighter extra attack.
Right, you can't stack them. You can't stack them, but because you only get 1 extra attack, so you get a fighter to level 5, but your main was rogue, you're still only getting that 1 extra attack. You can't stack the barbarian extra attack and the fighter extra attack. The only class that gets multiple extra attacks is fighter at later levels.
Would you rule you get 2 sneak attacks then?
I believe sneak attack can only proc once per turn.
Sneak attack can only be once
I'd have to look at the
round.
exact.
Sneak attack, beginning at first level, you know how to strike subtly and exploit a foe's distraction. Once per turn, you can deal an extra 1d6 damage to one creature you hit with an attack.
Alright, so what kind of other classes would go well with the rogue if you were to play the
Paladin
rogue as
dip.
your main? Paladin dip.
Fishing for critical, smite, and sneak attack together. Paladin dip's huge. So is a champion fighter, because then you get crits on 19 and 20.
Archery fighter.
Yep, archery fighter also very useful.
From experience, the barbarian multi-class is okay with a rogue. It's not the best.
You have to build a strength rogue, which is a little mad.
Weird,
but the thing is Sneak attack
Can work.
doesn't necessitate a dex attack. It just means you need to use a finesse weapon, but finesse means you can use strength or dex to attack with it.
Right.
So, Barbarian Rogue does work, and with
didn't we
reckless
build
attack,
that-
you're just fishing for crits.
Didn't
Yeah,
we build the Rogue
the-
Sork, Captain Jack Wick?
Yeah, but it's
Yep.
not a good dip. That's not a dip class.
That's not a
just
dip. That is a
class.
pure split. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it can be done, and while that comes online fairly early, it is still something that you have to like. That's a long form campaign,
Yeah, it
or
is.
we're playing level 20. Build your fuck
Build
you
your
DM
shit.
build.
All right. So
Yeah.
Going down the list, we'll start with Ben. Where are you placing it?
As far as for multi-classing, because it has to be your main class, it's gonna rank a little bit lower. Though it has some great utility with a few dips into other classes. But in combat utility, if you can proc sneak attack right, it is very useful, incredibly powerful in combat, and then out of combat, you are like I said, you are the skill machine, also very powerful.
Right.
I think because of the lack of multi-classing, it's a pretty versatile class, but a lot of that versatility comes from your subclasses, and since we are not affecting
Right.
everything with subclasses,
Mhm.
I have to give this a B.
Okay.
I would love to give it an A. I love the Rogue, but because of our 4 total criteria, I gotta give it a B.
All right. Jack.
Ben,
Well,
I
Go
think
for
I'm
it.
right there with you. Ben kind of hit all my points.
Okay.
I think.
So,
Rogue is good,
uh,
but it does fall in average because it really doesn't have the multi-class ability, and it has a lot of versatility in terms of the skills, but you get to pick 4. I don't know if you get any more. You get expertise.
You
in
get
a couple,
expertise
but
later on, but you just start with 4, which is
Yeah,
more than
right.
other classes.
I think average is
So-
fair.
For the Rogue, I think if it was a more combat controller, it'd be an A. I don't think it's good enough in combat to be an A. I
It is
feel
pure
like
damage dealer.
I know, but you don't. It's not as battlefield controlling. You're not a damage dealer that goes there and changes the tide of the battle every time. You do it.
Not every time. There are times where you can.
Certain times where you can
A
change
sneak
the
attack
battlefield.
critical is where you can.
But like
A
someone
base
like
sneak attack, maybe not so
Yeah.
much.
But for someone like a Hex Blade Warlock, a Barbarian, fighter, you're not changing the battlefield every time you go in for a fight. It's all if you get
Right.
lucky, you wipe out the battlefield, but you don't do it enough for it to be really. I would give it a B to B plus in combat, and for that
Yep.
reason, I'm gonna give it a B.
All right, so where's it fall?
I'm sending it right in the B as well. So I guess our options now are where in B. So our current stacking in the B category is fighter, then ranger, then artificer.
I believe it should go between
think
fighter and ranger.
I
I
think Ranger's better
100%
than it.
agree.
I honestly I feel like those two are on the same.
I think
the
a
same-
Gloomstalker Ranger is better than Mother
You
Rogue.
can't
Sorry.
not
Take
doing
in
subclasses. You can't do
So,
subclasses. Gloomstalker's
I-
amazing. So's Horizon
I
Walker.
would
Horizon Walker's
say
fun.
that it's I still think Ranger's better because you get the chance of I think you get multiple attacks to Ranger. You can get
Yep, you can get multiple attacks as a ranger.
I think it's
at level
better in combat. Sorry, it's better at
It all
just being
depends on whether or not
overall-
you can
it's-
proc your,
it's overall
skills.
being a force. It's a bigger force on the battlefield. It's
It can be.
multi-classing is I think far and above the Rogue.
I think ranger multiclass is a tough sell.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
hard
you
to
can make some
dip
cool
into
shit
it.
with a Ranger.
You absolutely can. But it's once again, it's one of those classes that has to be your main, not necessarily your dip.
Yeah, but see, if you're multi-classing a Ranger, I would just say build a fucking Archer. A Ranger's to me an Archer, Ben.
Hey,
so-
Outbury's great.
So Ben and Justin put it above ranger, but before fighter. Jack put it after ranger. I got to agree with Justin and Ben here. And based on that, where do you guys, based on all of our decisions, where is it going? I don't.
Well,
believe either one of
that's
these.
3-1 in
was
front
3-1,
between
so we're-
fighter and
you're-
ranger.
One in front of fighter, rogue, ranger.
Alrighty.
Yep.
That leads us to our
And
next.
I could honestly, ranger and rogue can flip flop for me. I just think because of sneak attack, it jumps. Sneak attack's a little more consistent than some of the range.
Yeah, I don't
procs.
mind if they
Ranger
flip flop
procs.
either. It's
Okay.
they're really
we can
really
call
close.
them equal. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
the thing with the Ranger is Ranger's feet.
True.
So
All right, back on track.
Probably where it
We
is.
have the Sorcerer.
All right,
Fucking love
Sorcerer
this
is fun, and Jack, Sorcerer is like one of your babies. So why don't you go ahead and
Fucking
kick us off
high
here?
A to low S. One of the best multi-classing options in the game, no matter what class you play. If you're a melee class, it instantly in 3 levels of sorcerer makes you a badass spellcaster. Fucking
Meta magic's useful.
Meta
and
magic.
if you
Yep.
if you
Subtle
take
spell
meta
is
magic
powerful.
adept, woo, don't even get me started. Fucking, you want to be a ranger that can cast spells subtly? Guess is the only class that can do that. You
Subtle
want to use
spells are very
magic
important
subtly?
thing.
The only class that can do that is the sorcerer.
So that's
If,
really
if
good
you want
out
to
of
all be a,
combat.
all a sneaky magician, you gotta be a sorcerer. It just ain't gonna work. In combat, God, it's S tier. It is S tier. S tier every damn day, and I think it might be better than a wizard S tier in combat.
Interesting.
Straight up combat.
Okay.
Straight up combat. Damage dealing combat, I don't think you get better than the sorcerer. It's the best Nova class, in my opinion. No class Nova is as good as fucking sorcerer.
Because once again, because of meta magic. Meta
Because
magic's
of meta
powerful.
magic. Meta magic is what makes a fucking sorcerer. I mean, let's
Well,
be
yeah,
fucking
it's the
real.
sorcerer thing. Yeah.
Bread and butter.
And as long as you pick 2 spells, either Firebolt or Lightning Bolt, when you get the chance, you're going to be a good sorcerer. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it. Those 2 spells make a sorcerer. And you can take both if you fucking wanted to. It just, because sorcerer is so easy to fucking play, it's not even funny.
As far as spellcasters goes, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And like outside of combat, subtle spell instantly makes that an S tier for me. Instantly makes any encounter where you can add magic subtly S tier. Multi-class. A high A to S. Combat S tier. Your guys' turn.
What kind of spell versatility does it have?
So the thing with
so spell
sorcerers-
versatility depends
go
on
for
how
it.
good you are at picking spells. They can be
This is
versatile
true.
as fuck because you can switch out spells every time you level.
Well, I'm
Yeah, you
more
can
so.
switch out spells every time you level, but you only, and those are the
I think
spells
you
you
only get
know. I was gonna say you only get 12 or 15 spells
I
that you know.
think you get 12.
Right.
Regardless, as far as having a spell list, I think the sorcerer knows one of the fewest number of spells outside of
Yeah,
like
but
one
the
of your
spells-
melee subclasses.
Sorcerer ends up knowing 6 cantrips and 15 spells.
Okay, so better.
So they have a lot of cantrips. That's the specialty
And,
of the sorcerer, which is
the
good.
cantrips is what
Mhm.
makes, sorcerer pretty versatile. If you do your cantrips right, you're gonna be a versatile sorcerer.
Yeah, that's the big thing, because all in all, your spell slots, while you do get all the way up to level 9, you are limited to, I want to say, like
It
maybe a
maxes
dozen
out-
and a half.
It maxes out at 4 first level slots, 3 second through 5th levels, 2 6th and 7ths, and then 1 8th and 9th level slot.
And
Yeah.
the way you would do that for those playing along at home is, as you go along, your first level spells become your battlefield control spells. It gets to the point where your first level spells, you have maybe 1 damage dealing spell in there. I usually don't put any damage dealing spells in my first level, because at that point you got 3rd level spells. I'd rather cast those and battlefield control with my lower level spells. And
So-
you can also upcast those, obviously.
Ben and Justin, where
Yeah.
you guys rank in
So
the sorcerer?
I mean, my issue with the sorcerer, and Jack kind of hit on it. While you can be very versatile, because you can change them out every level, depending on the type of game you're playing, you can be stuck with the same spells for a long time. And because you're only able to change them out at a level up, that can really set you back if you, like, in between levels up, you go somewhere or you end up coming up against a enemy that is relatively resistant or immune to a lot of your damage. Even though, Jack, I know your deal of take fire and ice,
Yeah.
Mr. Trojan over here.
No one will ever be completely resistant to you, ever.
Fair. But you lose out on, but the issue is you lose out on a lot of the bigger ones. While you can still deal damage, you're just kind of there.
See, well, that's
Smacking
why,
at it.
obviously, I take both Fireball and Lightning Bolt. But,
Fair.
Again, dealer choice.
But
right?
that's my biggest issue. I agree with you. Socially, because of subtle spell and being charismatic based class,
Mhm.
S tier. this has all kinds of main character syndrome written all over it with all of that.
Oh yeah.
And in combat, I agree. It is the best Nova that you can get. I used to disagree with you. You have swayed me on that. I will agree with you. I helped build that Sorcerer Rogue multiclass. I will agree with you 100%. It's because of that spell locking per level that I can't give it S. I have to give it A. I have to give it A. It's a very, very good class. I cannot give it S tier though because it's changes out spells so infrequently at later levels.
Just
Okay, I'm gonna have to go with Ben on this one. I do think it's a very high A. I can't quite give it S because it does seem that like it may lack some versatility. Especially since you're relying on some of the lower level cantrips. And we've seen that
cantrips can get OP as
Prestidigitation, bro.
Yeah, and depending on how creative you can get with things like Prestidigitation, they can be very, very strong.
or a cantrip can't stop an avalanche, as in like
Yes.
wall of fire.
Well, yeah. Let's put up a 5-foot
level
wall
5
of fire.
Okay.
Regardless, let's put up a 5-foot width wall in front of an avalanche. Brilliant strategy, Cotton. Let's see how this plays
And
out.
then the moment any of that
got
snow
lucky.
melts, we're gonna shape water into a wall.
And turn
of
it
ice.
into, which immediately will shatter from the rest of the snow and become daggers.
Yep.
Yeah, I have that.
I don't know how Arjan and Tarkol are alive.
Nope.
DM's
not.
mercy.
Grace and mercy,
So
yeah.
Justin and Ben have both given it the highest A tier, roughly. Is that what
I would say it's on par with Paladin as the top of the
I
A
think it's
tiers.
better than Paladin.
Jack
I'll
is
give it-
Yeah, I
I'll give you
really
that.
like.
Jack
I
is
really
giving it
like.
S tier.
See, before you go, Brady, I'm just gonna say, I get it. We're not taking,
Subclasses.
not even subclasses. It's like you're a very average player. If you're
Yeah.
a player who likes spells, likes spellcasters, you can easily make this. Like Ben and Justin's sphere of spells. You don't got a lot of them. Is very real, but if you know spells, that you can be just as versatile as a wizard.
Oh, I'd give it to you, but that you have to know your shit.
You
There's a
have to
lot of
know.
spells in
You
D&D.
have to know.
I'm gonna have to agree with Jack on this and give the Sorcerer an overall S tier. I've played a decent bit of Sorcerer in the campaigns that I've been a player in. I know what it can do in and out of combat. The spells limiting, yeah, it's yeah, but at the end of the day, you do know a lot and you can prepare a lot. I gotta give it an S tier, and that leaves us with we have two people putting it
Split
in S
decision.
and two people putting it in A.
So let me put it this way. Maybe this might sway you and Justin. I am going to bring in subclasses, but not really. I think Sorcerer is one of the few classes where your subclass, while it matters, doesn't really. A subclass is just icing on top. That's all, because everything that I explained by a Sorcerer, you get it a base Sorcerer, no subclass.
Right.
That's just your Sorcerer. That's how every Sorcerer can be, and you can just add your subclass on top of it. That's how I'm gonna try to sway you.
Yeah.
I can make it simple. I can make it
I
simple.
think highest.
The
A,
last
beat
time-
middle,
Last
unless
time
Justin's gonna flip.
when we discussed it under the presumption that this was a very skilled player.
Yes.
Very skilled player would know which spells to use to make the most of the Sorcerer. And so, under that standard that we set last video, I gotta bump it up to S.
All right.
And I think
you
we're
won.
all agree with this. It'll be the lowest S rank tier. But I do think it's an S.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is
I would
definitely.
say I'll give it highest A. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
No questions asked. It's going behind the Bard currently because that's our only other S tier class we have up there.
Oh yeah.
No questions asked. It's going behind that. Now we go on to another one of Jack's favorite classes, and Jack, no letting Hex Blade sway your decision.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Warlock as a base class.
Yeah. Lock is a base.
Okay, motherfucker.
We'll give you your opportunity to
Yeah, okay,
When we
jizz
go
all
through the
over
There are
Hex
two
Blade.
halves of the Warlock, alright? You just made me eliminate an entire half.
Well, we've been doing that with all of the classes. You know how much I love Horizon Walker Ranger or Battlemaster Fighter? I wasn't able to use those.
And
You know
we're
how much I
talking
love
spell
barbarians?
versus melee character. Those are the two halves. Damn it! All right, you can't just say no hex blade. That gets rid of the entire melee portion of the wizard.
Cannot do Hex Blade because that is a subclass. We will have a separate
I
video to cover
won't
that.
take in a hex blade, but I will take in the fact that it can be a bomb-ass melee character too.
All right, so let's look at some of the look at the standard.
Warlock is my favorite.
You're getting a
It's
1d8.
8 plus con. You get saving throw proficiencies in wisdom
Yep.
and charisma, which wisdom's very helpful, especially against spells.
Max out
Charisma's
4 spell
great in
slots,
social.
They
You
are
get
max level spell slots.
You get to choose
Max level
2
less
skills from
indications.
Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, and Religion. It picks up a lot of the weird ones in there.
Yeah, this is your esoterian, like
Yeah.
straight up.
You
So
sold your soul
I
for a reason.
like that. I like that. That's the Warlock's stat box there.
Yep.
What kind of spell list do you have?
So the thing with warlocks, you max out. Yeah, you max out at 4 cantrips, and Jack. I know.
I'll let you guys go first. You guys
You max
finish.
out at 4
Then I'll
cantrips.
destroy you.
You learn a total of 15 spells. However, at max level, you only have 4 spell slots. They're all are, however, at base 5th level spells. Invocations can fix
Cast
that,
it automatically, right?
but they are always at 5th. They are always cast at max level, which makes a lot of things upcast real strongly. So, and then on top of that, your Eldritch Invocations, which can change out your Eldritch Blast, which is the literal bread and butter. If you've ever played with the Warlock, you've heard the term Eldritch Blast about 10 billion times. That is
Eldritch
what they do.
Blast.
Eldritch Blast, Eldritch Blast, Eldritch
and
Blast.
then you have
Maybe it's
plus 5, and then I'm pushing you
Yeah.
back.
And those
that's
Eldritch
fine.
Invocations can change that drastically. Pushing, pulling, you can add in, like, I believe it's an invocation that takes you up to level 9th spells. Or 9th
No,
level
that's
spells. Or is that a
not
sub?
an
That's Mystic Arcanum.
That's just something
That's
the base wizard, the base thing.
Okay.
that people get.
That's
That's how you
okay.
get your 6th,
Yeah,
7th,
yeah.
8th, and 9th level spells.
That's right. So with your Mystic Arcanum, you do get there, but you're not there always. So you have to kind of pick and choose when you use
can't
those.
upcast.
And I believe,
to get through
there
those
is,
levels.
there is no upcasting, which
Mhm.
is potentially dangerous. But as far as multi-classing goes, you get your first 2 Eldritch Invocations at level 2, and your Pack Boon at level 3.
Yep.
And while I know we're not going into subclasses, that Pack Boon is in
and,
general pretty strong.
And Eldritch Blast at level 1.
Yeah, and Eldritch
It
Blast
is
at
a
level 1. And
D12
if you,
cantrip of force
Yep,
damage.
it is force damage, which is the least mitigated damage type in the game.
That's
Yep.
what you want.
Yep, there's a reason Bury does forced, Horizon Walker does force damage, but it cost me a bonus action to do it. So with that, all things considered, it's a charisma caster. It's gonna be pretty solid in social situations.
Yeah.
Depending on how you
like
build
that.
it, with if you build intellect, wisdom, whatever, it can be useful in a couple other situations.
It
And
looks
it's
like
not a
investigation might be fun.
yeah.
You're
Unless
gonna
you
be
go
the
Hexadin
Dapper.
at its base, it's not your frontline fighter. So while you don't want to dump con, you definitely don't have to build straight into con. We're not taking into account Hexadin, Jack. Stop your shaking.
I'm not talking about Hexadin. That's 2 classes. That's different.
Oh, sorry, not Hexadin. Sorry, Hex Blade. Hex
We'll
Blade.
give you an entire hour-long video where you can just talk about the Hex Blade if you really want.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Okay, other one's our frontline fighter. He's our tank. Just saying.
It's partly because of the deck of many things, mind you.
You're only 1 level behind me now. Calm down.
We're not there yet.
No, no, no.
Oh yeah.
Cut
Cut that.
Cut that.
No, sneak peek. Sneak peek. What
Cut it back
shows
in,
up
cut it out,
first?
cut it
This
back in.
video or the session video?
Hell yeah.
You're the only one that knows that.
Yeah, actually.
Folks
And
have
even
been
you
waiting
don't know,
for
you
this.
not know. I
Folks
know,
have
right?
been waiting for this one. It'll be
Yeah.
funny.
So all things considered, it is a fantastic multi-classing. It's very versatile. It is top tier in damage because of Eldritch Blast being force damage. Because it's so little mitigated, you are dealing consistent damage that is not being mitigated.
And it scales.
And you get what, 4 at max?
Yeah.
At 4 or 5 at max level that you can throw out in one action.
It's a 4d12 cantrip.
First level 1, 5. 5th level you get 2 blasts, your Eldritch Blast. 11th level you get 3. I think 17th you get 4.
That sounds right. But it scales like a fighter's level of attacks.
Yeah.
But they're force damage, which is strong.
Oh yeah. And that's overall level. That's
overall level. That's not specific warlock level, which is shocking to me. I can't believe that.
Yeah, no, it's overall level, not warlock level.
Which makes the dip at any point
very useful. Yeah.
1 level dip, 2 level dip.
I would say 2 level dip at a minimum. But all things considered, man,
how badly are you going to upset Jack with what you're about to say?
Oh, how badly am I going to tear you apart? Is what you.
Here's the thing. Because you are limited to 4 spell slots. When you get them back on a short rest, I'm taking that into account. You are limited to 4 spell slots. I cannot give it S. I give it A. With certain subclasses, S tier all the fucking way. But we're not factoring in that.
You can do it right.
Give it an A.
Going down a certain path, but I think the broad range of paths is leading away from the fullest expression of the warlock. Perhaps like there's a lot of different patrons that you can follow. There's a lot of weird ones you can dream up, and
there's some fun RP in warlocks.
Yeah, that makes out of combat stuff really.
We
fun.
have a divine warlock and a demon warlock in our party.
Yeah, yeah, it's. But I do think the limitation on spells has to bump it down from S. Unless we talk about subclasses.
Jack, we're going to let you go last
I'm at
on this
A.
one.
Yeah, you get the capstone on this one, Jack.
I'll give it the highest A.
I'm going to go with Ben and Justin on this. I will give it a very high A. But again, it's the spell slots on only getting 4 of them. Yeah, you can say, oh, can we get a short rest? Can we get a short rest? But you're not always going to be in a position where you can short rest. And that does come into effect. And yeah, you can spam Eldritch Blast all you want. At the end of the day, you're going to need more than... most times you're going to need more than 4 spell slots in combat. Especially if you're fighting back-to-back combat, which Eldwin's about to find out exactly how that works.
I would call that somewhat limiting in versatility as well.
Yeah, so I gotta give it overall. I'll give it a very high A tier, but I gotta keep it an A.
All right, here we go. Time to get schooled. Time to get taken to school. So, for spell slots, sure. I would never play a pure spellcasting warlock as a pure warlock ever. I would never do that ever because I would hate that. If I'm gonna be a lot of spellcasters, I'm gonna have a lot of shit with it. I'm gonna go. If I'm gonna play source or a warlock, pure spellcaster, I'm multi-classing with sorcerer, and I'm going to fuck your day up with a cantrip, and you can't stop me. I'm going to end all of your lives with a cantrip, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. That's why a warlock spellcaster is fucking insane. So what if I only have 4 spell slots? I'm never gonna use them because I don't need to. So, and the reason why I love warlock spellcasting, especially if you fucking sorcerer, right? My favorite thing to do as a warlock, you don't see much of the Eldwin because Eldwin's not much of a spellcaster. All of his Eldritch invocations are for melee. He doesn't take any of the Eldritch Blast invocations that make Eldritch Blast really fucking good because I don't Eldritch Blast a lot. Fair. But the Eldritch Blast, the Repelling Blast, the Agonizing Blast, the Sharpshooter, which is 300 feet you can cast that fucking thing at. Good luck hitting me. I think that's one of the longest range spells in the game, if not the longest.
It's one of the 120 feats, which I think Firebolt is.
Well, with that Eldritch Blast is 300 feet.
I know. I'm saying at its base, I think it's 120 feet.
Yeah.
So you open battlefield, you stick in the back, and people are just gonna die hundreds of feet in front of you, and they can do nothing about it. And you take a Repelling Blast. My favorite thing to do as a warlock is dropping Hunger of Hadar, and as people are walking out of it, you hit them with Eldritch Blast and push them right back in. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love it. I love it so
Stop hitting
much.
yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Stop it. And
So-
see, the biggest thing with AoE spells, right, is, fucking, you don't want to cast them on your party, so you cast it behind the people and just push them into it. It's great. I love it. And then obviously, because I can't say it, it's fucking amazing at melee. Moving on. I think it's one of the best melee classes in the game, but moving on.
So
That's why I'm going to give it an S.
I think
Or at
overall
least the
that
highest
lands
A.
it at the highest
Highest of
baseline.
A's.
And then I think we're all pretty much in agreement on Wizards going straight to S tier, correct?
Now, let
Yeah.
me tell you why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, the debate's
No,
where
it's
in S
not.
tier it goes.
So,
Explain it.
actually, there is a debate to be had. So, Justin, let's have this debate real quick.
Oh no,
So-
no, we need to save this till the end.
And
Give
then
us
Well,
the
we'll
we
rundown
all
on the
tell you
Wizards.
why you're wrong, Justin.
No, see, I don't think Justin's
Yeah, I'm in favor
wrong,
of Justin
right?
here. I'm in
No,
agreement with Justin.
I
on
think
this.
you're going too far. I'm going to agree with Justin. So, Justin's point is that he thinks I'm going to bring in a subclass here because, that's what the
That's
whole
what we do.
thing's really about. Because without subclasses, I think Wizard's the best, right? But putting one subclass with the Bard makes it compete with any fucking... It makes it compete with the Wizard in every way possible. With the College of the Bard, you become good and sometimes the best at every spellcasting school in it, right? And it's very iffy the best. Like, if you have a party of 3 spellcasters, odds are you'll probably be the best caster there, but you won't be the best at any one thing.
Yeah.
Let's say, I think...
Well,
Jack
that's
of
the
all trades,
versatility,
master of
though.
none.
Yes.
Yeah, and that
Yes,
comes with
so-
all bards, and that
yes.
comes with, and we're not going to talk about them, but that comes in going to specific subclasses as
Yes,
well. You
which
can
is
fill
what
a
I'm
lot of
saying.
different roles,
So-
the same way the warlock does.
Yeah. Which is why, in terms of Sorcerer, right, I think it's worse than the Bard one, because Sorcerer just got to your damage. And that's really all it has going for it. It can do it can do social magic, but I don't think it's enough to beat up the Bard in social encounters.
Mhm.
But I think the Wizard can be the best. I think there's 5 schools of magic in D&D, right?
Believe so. 6 maybe.
I think there are
Kid
like
Google.
8.
Brady,
There
while
are
you're
8
doing
schools. There are like
I
8 or
am-
9 schools of magic.
of the
the-
big magic, sorry.
The
like
Bard has the largest enchantment
8.
list
There
of
are
anyone.
8.
So the Bard wins
There
out
are
on enchantment.
10,
I do know that.
Ben.
There are 10. So
Yo.
the way I'm gonna group it, real quick, just
Fuck
to
you,
make it smaller.
Wikipedia. My teacher was
We have
right.
battlefield control, so you get your
Make that
enchantment spells.
11. 11 schools of magic.
All
for
right,
the
calm
wizard.
down. Calm down. We're gonna go battlefield control spells. We're gonna go social spells. We're gonna go battle spells, and we're gonna go. I'm missing something. I am missing something big. There's another.
Social, battleground control,
I'm missing something.
utility.
Healing?
Utility and
Yeah,
healing.
utility, yeah.
And healing. So that's 5, right?
Yeah.
I think the Bard is good to great in all of them, no matter what class you choose. But the Wizard is the best in, I think, 3 of them. It's not.
I'm gonna assume it's battlefield control, because I'll agree with you on that
Mhm.
one. Damage
Excluding
dealing and
the sorcerer.
utility.
damage dealing. It can be very good, and utility is amazing. I
Yeah,
think
Because
the
the Bard,
Bard.
Bard takes social every day of the week.
I think
Bard
Bard
takes
takes
social.
social, and Bard takes healing all day every day of the week.
Bard takes healing
The
too.
only thing that heals better than a bard is a cleric, because
Mhm.
cleric is the healer.
Right.
And I think that's the
Also,
reason
5e healing
why-
is about getting people up, not keeping
Yes.
people up.
and that's the reason why I think the
He-
Wizard edges out the Bard, because it's the best in 3, while the Bard is just good to great in everything.
Here's my
That's
counter
the- yeah,
to it.
go ahead.
You have to know what's coming.
Mhm.
Prepare your spell list
Yep.
for the day to come. Right?
A lot of spells.
You have to
Yeah.
you have access to a lot of spells. Great to have access to a lot of spells. But do you ever know what you're going to use the next day?
It
Like,
depends how versatile the spells you're taking. And I think
Right.
you as a Bard know that very.
I do understand that. But you still have to prepare them.
Mhm.
And you can prepare for something and then things go off the rails.
Oh, yeah.
The thing here is Bard has access to all of its known spells all the time.
Yeah.
And that is huge. Because that means nothing you know is getting left out. That means that you choose your spells very wisely instead of, having time to copy them down into your spell book.
Right.
And that's why I have to still put it above
Yeah.
the wizard, just because you have access to everything all the time.
Yeah.
All the
And-
time. And you could support your party through various uses of bardic inspiration, which is
Very
just
strong.
huge, because
But
you can use that on a
Especially
number
if
of
it
different
comes
roles.
back on a short rest.
Let's put it this way. Let's say you take one of the most, like, you're as highly skilled in magic. Like, you know everything there is to know about magic and D&D. Do you think you can push a bard further, or do you think you can push a wizard further?
That's a good question.
That's my one question to you to decide if it goes above the wizard.
Does that mean we need to run a level 20 mini campaign and just figure this out?
And test it out. I mean, honestly, based on
There's a lot of other stuff that would go into
point
it,
that
right?
Jack, the point that Jack brought up earlier, where yes, the wizard is, and arguably the best in 3 out of those 5 categories, at least between these 2 particular classes. The wizard cannot heal. Just cannot.
Well, he can, but not well.
Yeah, the bard can. The bard can also effectively play other support roles, and has the social thing on heavy duty lock. And it is not far behind the wizard in those other sectors, except maybe battlefield control.
And with additional magical secrets.
Once again, but that is a
Like,
College of
all the
Lore
magic-
thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, you get magical secrets for any bard.
Oh, do you? Okay. I'm
Magical
not
secrets,
familiar with
additional
College of
magical
Lore.
secrets at 6th level is a College of Lore
Yeah.
speciality, but
Got it.
you get to pilfer from other schools of magic, other
Mhm.
classes, and pick out a few things you might like.
Yeah.
So you can, and it comes at a level where you kind of know what your role is in the party, so you could choose
Right.
wisely.
So we
10th
So-
level, I believe.
My thing with Bard and why I put Bard above is, while yes, it is the jack of all trades, master of none, because it does not fall that far behind wizard, but it brings in these other 2 classes, these other 2 sections, and one of them, it is the strongest outside of maybe sorcerer for social,
There you go.
because of subtle spell.
Mhm.
But Bard also has music. Everyone loves music. You can
Yes, they do.
finagle your way through that.
And the
Can't cast
and
magic
the-
with your music, though. You know,
Yeah,
That
but
is
you
how
have the
Bards
largest-
cast magic.
Yeah.
but you have the
Well,
largest list
without being noticed.
Fair.
but there are times where you don't have to worry about being noticed. You want to be noticed, and
Yeah.
that's where, like, that shit, I had it. That enchantment, like, you can just charm a whole bunch of people, right?
Yeah, but see,
So we gotta make a decision here, guys.
let me make this one last, because this isn't really a thing that's like pushes Wizard away. I think it's cool that the 2 highest rated classes, I think for us, I think Sorcerer, we all think is it could be A, right?
Yeah.
I think it could be, but we put it as. I think it's funny how the 2 S classes are both classes. That it might just be better to play them by themselves without multi-classing.
Yeah, straight up.
I think that's funny, and I think
yeah.
that's cool as shit.
Dude, straight level level 20 as you take class all the way through gets really strong. And these
Well,
2,
not even for
just
like the getting the
incredibly
spells.
strong.
It's just
Yeah.
you don't need to.
yeah, and that's why I think they're S tier, even though they don't multi-class well.
I think they
will-
multi-class well. You just don't need to.
Yeah, you just don't need to. But because of the fact that you don't need to make it good, is the thing that, like, Rogue needs to multitask to get to S tier, multi-class to get to S tier. Wizard and Bard do not, by any stretch of the imagination.
All right. So
All right.
Ben, where did you put Wizard, before or after? Bard?
I put Wizard after Bard.
Okay.
I think Bard is just a more the versatility of a Bard edges it out over the specializations of a Wizard.
Jack.
I'm gonna say it like it's gonna be before, and I think it's because again, while when you say that the bard is close to the wizard, I think the wizard far out damage deals the bards by a wide margin. I think you got the rest of the pack here. If you ever seen those like Naruto power levels, right? You got everyone else, and then like Naruto up here, and that's where the sorcerer and wizard are in terms of damage dealing.
Okay, Justin.
It's got to go before for me. I do think that the wizard gets very specialized, and I think that I'm standing by the access to all of your spells all the time.
So
And a couple
you're placing
from
Bard
other
in front of Wizard.
classes. Bard is
Yeah,
top
but I
Okay.
think
for me.
the
I had a feeling
wizard
those two were
would
gonna
use
stay
them
there.
better. Again, I can't tell you why, but
I'm gonna put Bard in front of Wizard,
Mm.
just because of the social aspects. I think your Bard's gonna get you through more scenarios than your Wizard outside of combat.
Yeah.
fair enough.
And there
Um,
it is.
There it is.
And those I will say are very tight in the running.
They're
They
one
real
are.
close.
reason, since we've
This
already
is
ranked
neck
it there,
and neck of a race.
I think the one reason, again, because I'm pretty biased in this, obviously. I think the wizard
Likewise.
has 3 to 4 S rank subclasses. That's why I put
Yeah.
wizard above all the time.
Yeah, subclasses. I think if you taking those into account, I will give you.
Like
Um,
you take
because
the
of the
illusionist
3 you're
wizard.
talking
Oh
about.
my god, the most versatile spellcaster in
Yeah.
the game. You take the enchanter wizard, the best battlefield control spellcaster in the game. You take I can't. There's so
Yeah,
many damage.
There,
everyone's
those,
pick one.
yeah. So yeah, no, Jack, and I feel your pain. My
Yeah.
3 favorite classes are fighter, ranger, and rogue. All of them are B tier.
Yeah. All mine
They're my
are almost
favorite
at
classes
S.
in this game. My favorite fucking
I
classes.
think D&D is super like. I think all of those classes, if you multi-class the spellcaster, instantly become better, and that's why I think they're all B.
See, I think you can multi-class two
Well, I
two
think so,
marshals and make
too.
them S tier.
I think you could, but would it be better than an S tier spellcast?
Well, if I can withstand punishment, yes.
Yeah.
Well,
if you can
here's
stay
what
alive.
I think.
And as we've learned, fucking one-on-one, a wall of force will fuck your day.
Oh yeah, Wall of Force is mean.
Fuck your day.
But I want to thank
man.
everyone for
Yeah.
being here, sitting through this tier list with us. It's been something.
Yeah.
And then don't forget, like Ben said earlier, like, comment, and subscribe. And then
Right down
on
there.
Push the buttons.
Thursday we start off with the subclass tier list, and we're getting part 1 of the Paladin subclass tier list. So stay tuned for that.
That was a
Till next time, guys.
All right, see you guys.
Bye bye.